てないため絶対サービスキープしようこっちかフォロースルーに祝って絶望へのプレリュードを聞けそしてハードスタートは手わかる
Hey everyone, it's CurlyHairedHero, and I'm just gonna be real with you. Today's gonna be kind of weird. So, as I mentioned last time, we're gonna be doing a sort of Hyote team for the rest of the season. That just means that I'm gonna be trying my best to unlock all of the Hyote characters. And unfortunately, in order to do that, I have to play quite a couple of different game modes. Some tournaments that I've already played, but then also this specific game mode, which is Survival Singles, which it's kind of interesting on its own, but it's also kind of difficult for me to record. Because basically what happens is I pick 3 players, my opponent picks 3 players, and then we just send out one of our players to play, and then it's literally whoever is the last man standing, or last player standing. So they'll play, the first 2 players will play, the loser drops out, and then the next person from that team, from the losing team, comes in and plays. And the score actually stays, I think, like the same. So if, for example, the game ends 6-4, my team wins. When the losing team's next player comes in, it'll actually be 4-0 in favor of the losing team, which is pretty interesting. But basically, that just means that I'm playing 3 games for 1 round. So usually it'll just be I'll play 4, well, not 4 games, I'll play 4 sets, I mean to say. I'll play 4 sets, right, throughout a tournament, and it'll be done and over with. Whereas in this game, I'm playing essentially 3 sets per round. So it's essentially the equivalent of like 4 tournaments in 1. And I'm gonna have to do this kind of tournament twice, which is kind of a bummer. Initially what I did was I tried to do the Kanto doubles tournament. I have to do that with Otari and Shishido, and I actually recorded an episode for that, but then I kind of went back and I was like, you know what, I don't really want to do this because it's a tournament that we've already done. I want to just focus on the new stuff, and then I kind of took a look at what exactly it is that I need to do this season. I'm just like, well, shit. All I have really is Survival Singles. So, I don't know. Well, we'll try it. I originally tried this, and then I was like, no, what? I'll switch it with Cancel Doubles, but I don't know. We'll flip it around. My roster is looking pretty nice. We pretty much got, I believe, every single player from Segaku, and I'm pretty sure that's every single player from Furuhime, as well as I think that's every player from St. Rudolfo. We might be, no, that looks like everyone. We're missing 2 or 3 players. I think just 2 players, just their doubles from Yamabuki. And then for Hyote, we're missing a whole bunch of players. We're missing, like, I think, like 6 players or something like that. And as well from Rokuchu, we're missing quite a, or Rokuku? I never know how to say this name or this name. We're missing quite a couple of players here. We're missing like 3 or 4 of them. And then here we're just missing, I think, just maybe like the 1 player. But in any case, since it is a Hyote theme, I'm not entirely sure who I want to use. But ideally I just want to use 3 players. And I don't really want to use Otari and Shishido because we have to do the Cancel Doubles with them next. And I want to like sort of keep it fresh. You're not seeing all the same characters all the time. But I'm actually going to pick Otari as my first. I mean, I can change the order later on. But let's go ahead and pick you and I think Oshitari as well. And I don't know what's a good coach. I want to say Sanada is a good one. I think, nope, that's not Sanada. Go back, please. Don't tell me I have to pick everyone. Oh, okay. So, again, the order doesn't matter because I'm going to have to decide on an order I want. I can actually just pick the same character multiple times, which is kind of interesting. So actually, maybe we can do that instead. Let's just do Otari and then, what do you know, Otari again. He has pretty solid stats. So let's use Sanada. Because I think I might be able to cheese this kind of easily. So we got Otari, Otari, Otari. So let's go ahead and move on. So ideally what I want to try and do is I want to go through this pretty quickly. And one of the ways that I can do that, as you can see here, my opponent has 3 different players. I have the same player 3 times. One of the ways that I can do that to cheese through this is using the same method that I do with Ryoma, which is just try and do a bunch of serves, or try to do a bunch of good hits in, and then just build up by Super Gauge. Oh my god, he only has 1 use. Let me see if I got the right one. Yeah, okay. So that is the right one. I use the Sunlighter Coach right now. He gives me a massive boost to my Awakening Gauge. But basically what I want to try and do is just build up my Awakening Gauge and then just go through this with, whoopsie daisy, Otari's Scud Serve. This shouldn't be too big of an issue just because Setsu is pretty crummy when it comes to moving around. But it does hit really hard. So thankfully, at the very least, Otari has very solid stats. He has really, he has level 4 grip out of 5, level 4 power, level 4 speed, surprisingly. So he's a really good, well-rounded character. So I'm thinking this won't be too hard to go through with just him. But also, it's just mainly because he has his Scud Serve that I can kind of abuse. The bench looks so funny. I wish there was an easy way for me to record the bench. I've been considering going back and doing what I used to do before. He has one of these. Let's see how this works. This is new. Because he has that, but he also has a jackknife. I'm not sure what move that was. But yeah, I'm considering going back. I might be able to like use OBS, which is what I use to record like Jump Ultimate Stars. So that way I was able to get the top and bottom screen. I used to get the bottom screen in this game, but I kind of stopped doing that just because it doesn't really do much. I mean, you can see the stats, you can see my coach, and you can see the bench, and they kind of like, do little cute animations when you win or lose a point or game or whatever. But in general, I don't really use the bench much at all. So that's why I kind of started somewhere, I think in like middle of season 2 or like beginning of season 3. I just decided to stop using it. Just because it was so annoying to get the bottom screen, because what I used to have to do was, before I started using OBS, I'm not actually using OBS now, but I'm using the same way to capture that I was using it back then. But basically, what I would have to do is capture the entire screen, the entire screens, top and bottom screens, and then I would have to go in and crop them, but my program that I use to edit the videos is really dumb, so it wouldn't be very easy for me to, actually crop the videos. Like if I were using something like, I always forget the name of it, but the fancy, the fancy editing software, not Lightroom, not After Effects, the other one, the Adobe one. If I were to use that, for example, instead, I'd be able to just crop the videos and wouldn't go and be done with it. Instead, what I had to do is crop the videos as one screen and then render that out. And then do that twice to get 2 separate screens, and then I can, put an overlay or whatever I want and put it together. So it's essentially 3 times the work that I would do for a normal video, versus now where it's just, I get the one screen, I can just go ahead and edit that, and I'm done and over with. But let's go ahead and use the Scud Serve here. That little, I want to say summon champ, but that's more or less a Yu-Gi-Oh reference, but that little incantation, or whatever it is that Otari says when he does that, I always find myself saying that whenever I serve. But in any case, I use OBS now, and that's actually what I used to use for Jump Ultimate Stars. I used to actually do the separate screens and render it all out, but then that was just a big issue. So then, like, unfortunately, late into it, but, somewhere down the line, I was able to figure out that I can just use OBS, right? I was using OBS for streaming a little bit, and I was like, fuck it, I can just use this for recording. Why am I being such an idiot? So I started using it for that, and that made recording Jump Ultimate Stars so much easier. I think I did, like, that series has, like, 50 episodes. I only did, the last 15 to 20 episodes or something like that, but I was able to, like, rapid fire through them, because I was in the middle of moving and I wanted to get a bunch of videos, at least recorded by the time that I'm done moving in and whatnot. Then I can just sort of like have that to fall back on, so I didn't have like 0 content during that whole time, right? But I was able to like rapid fire through those just because of the fact that I was actually using OBS. I didn't have to waste all of that time in rendering. And then OBS even made it easier because I could just use my overlay that I was using. Wow, can't believe that was a fault from a special. That's the first time I've ever seen that. Although it's very weird. I don't know if there's a stat for serving. So apparently he has low recovery. He has low A time, which I think is how long you can keep your awakening mode. He has low praise and taunt. These I think are the two ways that you can build up the C gauge and the A gauge. I don't know which is for which. He has low speed. But that's about it. Everything else is pretty much all maxed out, or at least it's everything's 4 out of 5 pretty much. And when he's in awakening mode, you get a +1 to all your stats. So that's why they're pretty much a 5 right now. But I don't know why he gets so many faults. Maybe he just hits the ball too hard. I mean, I know it's like common in real life. If you're a really good, I shouldn't say good, but if you're a really strong server and you hit really strong serves, you typically hit the net. You tend to hit faults just because you're putting so much into your serve that it's kind of all or nothing at that point, right? But it's just interesting that they put that into this game that way. But in any case, yeah, OBS just made things a lot easier, and I'm considering doing the same thing for this, but then I have to figure out how to do sort of like a overlay for this game, which in all honesty shouldn't be too difficult, but like I said, it's not like I really use the bottom screen too much. Like I know just now I talked about his stats and whatnot, whatever. Just get hit by it doesn't really matter. He hasn't won a single game, and I'm about to go through him really quickly, and we're gonna be here for a bit, so it's fine. Yeah, I don't really use the bottom screen. Like I know I talked about his stats, and if I showed you that at the bottom screen, you'd be able to see what I'm talking about. But I mean, I don't really do that too much, and I feel like I can just describe to you what I'm saying, right? So I think it'll be fine. But in any case, we're gonna take down Ishida here. Like for example, the only other thing you can see on the bottom screen right now is that it shows you sort of that you won the first game, but you still got second game to go. So we're gonna go ahead and take down the first player. I wish it was like 2 out of 3, but I guess it wouldn't be survival singles if that was the case. But yeah, I really wish that it was just like 2 out of 3, and then that way you wouldn't have to play all these games, and I could just like fucking bum rush through all of this. Let me just check the score. Okay, yeah. Just making sure. I thought it was like they gave them +2 to their total, but no, it's just whatever they had before, and they get to carry over. So it's like literally survival singles. You take one player out, another player comes in to take their place right from the get-go. I don't know if I kept the same gauge or anything like that, because I did just finish using my awakening mode, so I didn't really have anything. But I think that might get reset. But in any case, ooh, we actually get another use of Sanada. For some reason, Sanada's coach ability, when I started, it only had 1 use. Coach abilities, you can use them depending on the uses. Suzaku, or Ryusazaku, the coach from Segaku. I might just be saying her name wrong because I'm confusing it with the actual team name. But she is one of the better ones. She's pretty basic. She just powers up your C gauge by like 2 bars or something like that. 2 out of 4. But she has 4 uses. I think maybe 5. Which is pretty good. Whereas Sana only has 1. But to be fair, it balances out. I mean, it is a really good special. Or I should say special. It's a really good ability where it just boosts your gauge to pretty much max. Which is pretty nice. I don't know why I got 2 extra uses when I only started off with 1. So I guess in between games they give you an extra use, which is nice. Or they give you an extra use plus they restock it, I guess. So they gave me the 1 that I usually have plus an extra 1, I guess. Which I guess is fair. I did win. I should get something out of this, considering that it is survival. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and go into secret mode soon and just go through this really easily, which is nice because this opponent is really annoying. I forget what his name is because I keep confusing. I think his name is Oshi, but I keep confusing Otari, Oshitari, and then Oshi because their names all are so similar, and they all have OS. Or, well, Otari doesn't, but I always think that he ooh, nice. 3 service days there. I always think that his has an OS, just because I keep mixing up all of them. But he's pretty annoying. Oshi, he is the main doubles player. He plays with Kikimaru and Segaku. But he's really annoying just because he has his Moon Volley in this game. And basically what it is, the Moon Volley is just a lob that he can use. But he's one of the only few characters, at least when you play them as the computer, that they actually make use of the fake one. Because for most specials, you can use the actual special, and then you can press, like, usually if the button is A, you can press B to do like an alternative one, which is usually sometimes like a fake out, where it's not actually the special, but you're trying to like make your opponent think it is, so you fake him out. Since his special is the Moon Volley, he has the ability to, you know, do a very high arching lob that always hits like the back of the line. Obviously, in order to hit that, you're gonna want to back. Oh god, you're gonna want to go all the way back into the. Oh my god. Oh lord. Okay, let's try that again. You're gonna want to try and go all the way to behind the service line, or no, behind the baseline to hit it. But if he does his fake one, it's actually like a drop shot. So that's how he plays you. He either makes you go all the way back, and you think you're going all the way back, hits you with the drop. Then you think it's the drop, hits you with the lob. So it works out really well. That's just basic tennis 101. But it's just because it's a computer, they can be really, really sneaky with it. So sometimes when I go through these types of tournaments, I like using Mizuki as my coach. It's usually just Shizaki, because I don't really know who else to pick. I don't really know any of the coach abilities that well. But I usually never really ever use the coach abilities. The only coach abilities I really use is like when I pick Mizuki. He's the coach and also a player from Senhi Rodolfo, but all he does is just locks out the opponent from gaining any C gauge, right? They cannot gain any C gauge for the remainder of this game until the game is done. The game being, until one of us gets to 40. And then he makes it so that whatever you currently have gets erased. So if you have 4 gauges, it's just gone. All your gauges are gone as well. So I'm gonna try. I have one more use of Sanada's coach ability. I'm gonna try and hang on to it and see if I'm just going to get the +1, or if it's going to give me like 2 extra ones, or what's the case. Let's see if I can get a nice service. No service aces. That was one of the coaches I was considering using, the coach from Yawabuki, because I think he does something similar to Sanada. I think he's like a 2-use special. I keep saying special, but it's really just a coach ability. Yeah, there's the drop. He has a 2-use, and I think what it does is that it makes it so that you actually gain like half the awakening gauge, and if it's a player from Yawabuki, it gives him full or something of that sort. But it might be wrong. But I know it's a pretty good special. Ability. God damn it. Alright. Let's see if we can finish this game pretty easily. Oof, boy. Having a lot of trouble here. Oshi is surprisingly a pretty solid player. His stats aren't great, but he has some pretty solid specials that he can make use of, especially in awakening mode. And I think he has a pretty good timing, or whatever it's called. Whatever the stat is for awakening mode. Ugh. Gonna actually get a game off of me. He has pretty good, I think, a duration time with the awakening mode, just because I know in the anime they actually bring up the like awakening mode stuff. And him and Kikimaru, as well as Ryoma, I think are one of the few characters, at least in like the first part of the manga, or the first series in the manga, because I know there's Prince of Tennis and then there's New Prince of Tennis. But I don't actually know what happens in New Prince of Tennis. I'm sure everyone goes awakening mode. It's kind of like Dragon Ball, where it's like first Goku goes Super Saiyan, and it's like, oh well, I guess anyone can go Super Saiyan, right? So it's kind of like that. But I know they were I think the first 2 to actually do it, aside from like a couple of other characters. But it was kind of sort of like that, where it was like they were trying to achieve it. And I think their opponents achieved it also. So then they also got into that mode, and then fucking Ryoma plays Yukimura, and then Yukimura does it, and it also Ryoma. So it was kind of the thing where, like, here's this new thing that we can do. Oh, by the way, everyone can do it. So it's kind of silly. But it's kind of good that, you know, we lost that game. So you can see what I mean in that, coming up next, we're going to play the last player here really quickly for this team here. I don't know really what the team base is. It's been using a lot of random characters. I guess it's mainly, I want to say it's mainly doubles characters, but I'm not really sure. This guy's kind of an oddball because he's kind of like the captain of Yamabuki, but he doesn't really play. Alright, so I didn't actually get, that's very interesting. I still have the one use of Sanada's ability that I carried over, but I didn't get an extra one, so I don't know why I got 2 for that other game. So that's really weird. But in any case, you can see here that they have the 1 game over me. That's because they carried it over from before. But nonetheless, we're going to try and go through this pretty easy. Oshi is pretty much the only one on this team that would have given me any trouble. Tetsu could have given me trouble, but he's a little too slow. So since Otari is a pretty good character and he has pretty good power, ball speed, pretty good everything. Very nice, solid character. We can kind of easily get through this. Let's go ahead and see. I usually try and wait until I get my own C gauge and then use my special, and then go into awakening mode. But now that I lost that point, let's just use it. Get this over with. Hopefully not hit a fault. There we go. Very nice. And since this tournament is level 2 in terms of difficulty, 2 out of 3. Oh my god. I don't really have to worry about my opponent returning into my attacks, which is why I'm going through this pretty quickly. Like, I know I spent like a good, like, I don't know, 7 minutes in the beginning of this episode sort of describing and explaining the situation that we're in at the moment. But in general, I was kind of hesitant to do this just because it's going to take so long. Because, again, I'm basically playing the length of 3 episodes in one, and I have to do that 4 different times. So it's essentially like I'm playing 3 different or 4 different tournaments or something like that. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm playing essentially 12 episodes into this this 4 episode tournament. So, but I think choosing through it will make things a little bit easier. I don't mind doing, like, I don't mind the format if I was like playing on myself. If I'm recording it, I don't think it'll work out too well. And I want to try and see if, you know, I can try and go through this pretty quickly, which is why I'm just spamming specials right here. What I was going to originally consider doing is saving this tournament for the 100th episode, because it's kind of long, so I can kind of, you know, take my time with that. But I didn't want to do 2 survival singles tournaments so close to each other. So I'm going to try and do this one now, and then we have, like, I think 2 tournaments in between, and then we have the next survival singles tournament, which is the Iron Plate 3. I don't know when, we might have already done Iron Plate, yeah, we did Iron Plate 2, that was a doubles, I think we did that with Inui and Tetsu, but I'll do that for the 100th episode. And then what we'll do to round out the season is do a mixed match tournament, because we have to do a mixed match tournament in order to get... it's funny because we're going through all these hoops just to get 1 character. Essentially all I'm doing is building up to this mixed match tournament where I have to use one of the stock mixed match teams. So as you unlock characters, you get, you know, default mixed match teams that you can use. But in order to do that, you have to get all the players that fill out that team. For this mixed match team, I need Shishido and Otari, who I have. But then I also need Kawaji, as well as Atabe. Atabe, I only get after doing the Iron Plate 3, which is a survival singles. In order to get Atabe, I have to do this survival singles and then do that one. But then, other than that, Kawaji is not too hard to get. I have to do a trial singles, which we did that before. It wasn't really all that bad. So we're going to do that next, actually, and then we'll do doubles, and then another survival singles. But once we do all of that, we'll have all the characters to fill out the Hyote Team A, because they have a big team, so they have multiple mixed match teams. Then we can take on the mixed match tournament, finally, and all we get is I forgot his name, but it's like Akatagawa. It's the like super hyped up. He's a weird character because he's super hyped up when he's playing. He's like all pumped up and shit, and when he's actually not playing, he's like sleeping all the time. But he's mainly what are they called? He's a serve and volley. He's a serve and volley player. So he just he serves and he's like immediately at the net. He has really good net play where he can like hit the ball even if it's like right at his feet and whatnot. So he's a pretty interesting character. It just sucks that we won't even get to use him for this. But I think he's the last Hyote character that we're gonna be unlocking. Because I think, oh man, ugh, damn it. The only other character that we'll be getting is Hiyoshi, which is like this. I just call him a nerd because I think he does like karate or something. He does something and he tries to incorporate it into his sentence, which is fine. It's just he's just like such a dweeb. But you'll see what I mean whenever we get him. But in order to unlock him, I have to do the Kanto doubles with Otori and Shishido, which we'll do next time. But in any case, we're gonna go ahead and take down this mixed match team with our team of Otaris. Very, very dominating fashion. We only managed to lose the one game throughout the entire thing, but we managed to win a total of 18 games, more or less, in a row. So not bad with the one player. You know, I only have the team of the one player, but in any case, take care of yourself.